and only 17% were accepted. 50% of the students in City College are on free and reduced lunch. 99% go to college. Now, Andrew selected City College as the school that he wanted to go to. He selected it, by the way, for those in the area here over Bethlehem, I understand. Right, Andrew?
Yeah.
And I think your parents are very happy you did select. If you could come forward, Andrew. And let me just tell you, City College is an international baccalaureate school, which means not only do you get the regular diploma, you get an international baccalaureate diploma. In 10th grade, there's a research project that must be done. And Andrew did a research project based on his great-grandfather, who has survived Auschwitz. And for those that have not seen, hopefully most of you have gone back and seen the model that he built as part of this research project. He wrote a paper and built this 20 square foot model, which there is an article back there from the foreword that he wrote. It does say grandfather in the headline, but it should say great-grandfather. So that got national publicity. And here's Andrew, who put together the paper and the project.
Hello. So, my name is Andrew Altman, and I'm a rising 11th grader at Baltimore City College High School. I was graciously invited here today by Commander Birkenau to speak about this model of Auschwitz, Birkenau Death Camp, which I built out of wood for my school's 10th grade year personal project assignment. As one of the most well-known inmates of Auschwitz, Elie Wiesel, once said, "Without memory, there is no culture. Without memory, there will be no civilization, no society, no future." Along these lines, I chose to recreate Auschwitz-Birkenau as my personal project for two reasons. Firstly, I built this model as my memorial to my great-grandfather, Edward Bitterman, who was an inmate there from August 1944 until the camp was liberated by the Soviet Army in January 1945. My great-grandfather was a carpenter from Lodz, Poland, and he survived torturous incarcerations for both the Lodz ghetto and Auschwitz through his woodworking skills. In particular in Auschwitz, my great-grandfather built toys out of wood for Nazi officers' children for Christmas. In building Auschwitz, I recall my great-grandfather's humble resourcefulness and overwhelmingness will to live during our people's greatest tragedy. The model is a memory of him and an inspiration to me. In the same way, my second motivation for building this project was to learn. I wanted to gain a deeper understanding of Auschwitz and to understand its impact. Growing up as a Jewish teenager here in Baltimore, I was raised here hearing about the Holocaust and the evils of the Nazis. However, these were just grotesque stories from a distant place in time. I never really understood just how traumatic the experience of the Holocaust was on people who had suffered through it. After researching, reading up on the horrors of the camp, and listening to first-hand accounts of Auschwitz from my great-grandfather's family and many others, I started to realize that the devastation of the Holocaust was a lot more unbearable than I originally thought so. The survival of our people and my great-grandfather was nothing short of miraculous. Knowing these things made building my project more meaningful and at the same time more difficult. Building each structure of my project out of wood meant spending precious time on each building and knowing exactly what happened in each place. Building a barrack meant hundreds of human beings living inside a damp, cramped environment, suffering from hunger, disease, and constant fear. Building the crematorium meant millions of lives extinguished by gas and bodies burned to ashes. These were not just buildings. These were structures of suffering and death. Sometimes they housed friendship, sacrifice, and hope as well. Overall, I started this assignment with simple intentions, but it came out with a greater appreciation of how the architecture of Auschwitz, and not just the Nazis, determined the lives and death of millions. Out of my own learning came some unexpected opportunities for teaching. My Auschwitz project was exhibited twice at my school for students, facility, and general public. Many students in school have surprisingly little knowledge of Judaism or Jewish history, even though there are currently over 50 Jewish students at City. Shockingly, some students never even heard of Auschwitz. My model educated many students and the realities of the Holocaust. 6 million was not just a number. It was my great-grandfather, a relative of someone of these students went to school with. I shared his stories with them. At the same time, my model showed these students how much effort Hitler and the Nazis put into their hatred. The 425 acres of Auschwitz-Birkenau existed solely to torture and kill people of a different race, religion, or political persuasion. Hearing these stories and seeing my model shocked many students. They began to have an intellectual and emotional understanding of Auschwitz and the evils of what prejudice and hatred could lead to. I further carried my message of my great-grandfather in Auschwitz to a wider audience by writing an article on my project, which was published in the foreword, copies of which I have near my project. The majority of the comments in the article were positive. There was, however, one Holocaust denier who posted hateful comments. The denier was immediately overwhelmed and duly humiliated with censure by other commentators. The memory of Auschwitz was clearly recalled. These subsequent posts gave me hope and comfort that civilization and society could continue because the lessons of Auschwitz and anti-Semitism were remembered. The truth of memory triumphed over the lone voice of hatred and dishonesty. In conclusion, today, Auschwitz is a memory. It is a memory of hatred and cruelty, of family members we have lost, or of a culture that will never return. But remembering Auschwitz is our future as well. While we are lucky we live in a country with freedom and independence, mainly thanks to the dedication and sacrifice of our military and veterans such as yourselves, we must always be vigilant against the voices of hatred and fear which still lurk around us. We must always remember to stand for justice when it is upon us. Auschwitz is a constant reminder of that, a memory we must never forget. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my Auschwitz project with you. It has been my great honor to speak in front of you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. 10th grader at City College. Now, Andrew, as I told Andrew, when I went to City, and when those of you out there, I'm sure much older, went to City, City was probably somewhere around 90% to 95% Jewish, even though we came from the northwestern part of the city to go to the northeast, Baltimore. 5 years ago or so, there probably weren't any Jewish students. Now there's over 50. Andrew also started a Jewish student union at City College. He read the Megillah for Purim, and he said about 100 students showed up. So that means about 50 of them were not even Jewish that showed up. So he has done a fantastic job. He wants to be an attorney. The way he just did that presentation just now, and I know you've written that speech, correct? He wrote the article that's in the foreword. He'll probably make a great attorney. It's really an honor to have you here, Andrew. When I saw this project, I was City College right now, for those that went there, is doing a renovation of their library, a $2.2 million renovation. Most of it is coming from private funds. I'm involved in a foundation that a cousin of mine has. He's 95 years old, graduated in 1938. And the foundation donated $100,000 for a math and science learning center. So we were over to see what the progress of this library and the learning centers, and we're told about these research projects, and that the finalists were going to be there on a Thursday night. And everyone wanted to get over to see this, predominantly to see Andrew's project, because they told us all about how he built this 20-square-foot model of the Birkenau section of Auschwitz, and we wanted to see it. He got a special award that night for his work and for his research project. And again, Andrew, thank you for coming, and we'll make sure that Secretary always gets a picture with you and your project back here, and we'll also get that off to our national publication, also for the Jewish War Veterans.